Hello, hello, and hello. Welcome to Korea for the South Korean Grand Prix in Sunday League Virtual Season 2. We've got a revised layout for this season, which is very exciting. More true to form of the real track. And I'm incredibly excited to get underway racing here. We're just drawing towards the end of the season now, as it were. And it should be a really interesting finale. So after multiple technical issues, it looks like I'll be getting the race underway. But if anything does go wrong, that doesn't completely ruin the experience, then please forgive me just for this week. Just trying to get a few things sorted out. Right, let's have a look at the upgrades. As always, VLO. Succeed a grip upgrade. FVR, THX, fail, speed and grip upgrades respectively. WTech succeed in their turbo effort. Failed grip upgrades for SFR and BAR. While SPM succeed in their grip upgrade. Then we've got KRT failing in turbo. PMP succeeding a turbo upgrade chosen for them randomly due to Phoenix's incompetence. And then BFX getting an acceleration upgrade as if their car wasn't overpowered enough already. Right, let's have a look as we have little qualifying results now. Where will they be? It's Hanandi on pole position. Bluebell starts second. Spuda in third. Levioso starts fourth on the grid with Goose in fifth. Anti starts in sixth place. Rito down in seventh. Grandy eighth for him. Urist will be starting ninth. Vlado 204. Rounding out the top 10, Andres starts outside of it in 11th place. Sobel in 12th for PMP. Ikoloski 13th for the BAR team. Then we've got Kubo and Jaruni, Hetmenica and Jake Brad, G4, Vlado 1 and Pit Crew. Rounding out our order. In terms of the token spend, of course, let's have a look here. So 3 tokens for Urist, who starts in 9th place. Not fantastic that for a 3 token spend. You'd hope for a bit more, but alas, such is life. Then we'll start from highest actually. Spuda spending 4, Hanandi spending 4. They start in 3rd and 1st place respectively. 3 token spenders are Urist starting in 9th, Grandy starting in 8th, Anti will be starting in 6th. I think that is. No, and then, of course, Bluebell starting on the front row. 2 token spenders, we have Game Mongoose starting in 5th place. Very good qualifying for him, considering he has fewer tokens than the 3, 4 behind him, minus Rito, sort of. He's just built different. And then we've got Andres, I believe down in 11th place, spending 2 tokens. Just not good enough for the WTech driver, who are tipped to do well here, and should pull off a really mighty performance with this many tokens spent and with a car that just seems to suit the track down to the ground. Another turbo upgrade this week couldn't have hurt it. And then spending 2 tokens as well as Levioso up in 4th place. Fantastic qualifying result for him. Let's see if he can maintain it in the race. 1 token spenders this week are Jaruni, who'll be starting all the way down in 15th position, as well as Ikoloski starting in 13th, and Rito, who'll be starting up in 7th, because why not? Right, that's enough of the token talk. 29 total being spent today, the highest tally of this season. Let's see how it will unfold in the race. Five lights ahead of the drivers here. We're underway in South Korea. Hanandi leads them away from pole position. Levioso looking to make gains here. Anti Goose going side by side into the sharp right-hander that is turn 3. Goose looking at an opportunistic move. Gets squeezed into the wall by Lev. Loses position to him. Anti Rito and potentially Grandy side by side for the lead go Hanandi and Bluebell. They're scrapping over it here. Bluebell has immediately propelled himself from that front row start past the pole sitter and into the lead of the race. Could we see another potential BFX win this weekend? Let's hope not. Levioso looking to really pressure Spuda. Very impressive from the 2 token spending driver. Seems to have had a good quality, good start to the race. Spuda looking to capitalise on a slight wide moment from Hernandi. Lev just sticks his nose in there. 3-car battle for second place here. Spuda gets through. Lev tries it through. He's got the inside into the penultimate corner and does take the final podium spot off Hernandi, Anti and Rito behind Goose and Grandi 2. That's your top 8. Then we've got Vlado 1 and Kubo G4 and Urist. Vlado 2, Sobel, Pit Crew, Andres down in 16th and Urist down in 12th despite their high token spends. Really, really bad for them. Out in the lead still Bluebell, Spuda, Hernandi, Levioso, Anti up ahead of Goose and Rito and Grandi. Rito defending from Grandi. Grandi does have the softs though. Can he try and format a move coming into one of these next 2 corners, the tight corners? No, Rito just gets the better drag away. Nobody looking to make a move yet. This is a track where you have to just sort of bide your time here and go for a potential move when you just get a glimpse of one. Anti being cautious behind Hernandi, just falling into the line. We've got a 5-car train here. Goose falling a little bit off the back of Levioso as they wind through the penultimate corner down the main pit straight, which is a lot shorter than the back straight. Lev goes for a half move on Anti. That's lost him time more than anything else. Spuda chasing down Bluebell now. Hernandi robbed of his pole. Down in 3rd place, well detached from the leaders, 2 seconds off them already. Lev looking at an opportunistic chance at Anti here to the inside on both parts of the corner, and once again into the penultimate corner. Goose looking to the outside of Lev here. Can he get better drag down the straight? Lev just covers off the racing line, goes a little bit wide, uses some boost just to pull himself away from Goose. It hasn't really worked though. Goes defensive into the next right-hander. Goose on his tail. Rito on his. Rito to the inside of Goose. Goose still battling out with Lev. Goose takes the grass. Rito gets through. Lev still out ahead in 5th place. Anti and Hernandi still out ahead of them. Goose the loser there. Rito squeezed into the wall earlier on, but did end up making ground off that after Lev and Goose both onto the grass. Goose more than his Belarusian counterpart. Right, any fights up here? Spuda still looking at a potential fight for the lead. We've only got 5 drivers running the soft off the start of the race. The bottom 4 rather have pitted, so we're not quite sure what tyres they started on, but overall not a lot of people running the soft compound. Very tight, twisty track. Not a long lap time, pretty short, but a very low speed for long parts of it. You do have those 2 big straights of blast down though. Anti to the inside of Hernandi, going into the tight left-hander, just about left room on the inside, and he does take the grass. It's a slow exit, but he can block off Hernandi. Hernandi goes to the inside though. Lev gets through on Hernandi. They go side by side through the final part of the lap. Hernandi to the inside of the penultimate corner, takes a very nice wide line, just slides into the pit lane pretty seamlessly. Rito and Goose side by side in the background. Rito ahead now for the time being. Levioso looking for a move on Anti. They just sort of make these half moves. Rito gets a great exit to the inside of Lev and leaves him no option but to lose position to both him and Goose. Goose blasts through there. He'll take 5th place off him. Great battle for the top 5 we've had so far this race. Bluebell has finally lost the lead of the race to Spuda. You could thank that all to the back markers. He's still been stuck behind Hetmenica for multiple corners, who just did a little wiggle on the straight just to particularly get in his way. These are all guys who have pitted. They're causing him so many problems. Unbelievable here. They do run onto the grass eventually, and Bluebell does get through, but not before he's lost just 2.5 seconds out to Spuda. Unbelievable. Spuda and Bluebell starting on the same tyre. Bluebell going for an overcut. He's going to have to change his strategy here to get a good run at Spuda later into the race. Remember, he does have the best car on the grid, but the W-Tech in particular very well suited to tracks like Brest, like Korea. Ikolowski getting in Bluebell's way, and Anti too. Spuda having pitted. This is a battle of the back markers. You just have to get your way through. Spuda having pitted up through on Goose and Rito. A lovely double overtake. The softs will massively help that. You could just see these cars dancing through the corners with such agility, especially the front runners with their super boosted grip and acceleration and what have you. Double stack for SBM. They're not doing too well. Actually, Levioso's a lap ahead of Hetmenica already here on lap 12. Rito to the outside of Goose. Goose just squeezes him a little bit onto that curb. Rito backs out, but he'll have another go at Goose coming down into the final couple corners. Goose goes a little bit wide into the pit lane, as does Rito. The front 2, Spuda and Anti at the moment. Bluebell having pitted Um, wait, that's not Bluebell. Bluebell having pitted pretty recently and in 4th place at the moment, looking to make a run back at the lead of the race. He's taken a harder compound than Spuda did to try and get more longevity on the tyre, pit later, maybe save himself a stop later into the race. He knows that's a good way to have a good effort at the race lead. We've got Hernandi and Antti. Meanwhile, Antti on the old hards. Hernandi took an early stop onto the softs, which are already starting to wear out. Just shows you how intensive the tyre wear is at this track. But yeah, he's starting to just slide around a little bit. Antti's still out on the hards that he started on. They're not looking in the worst condition, but I'd be surprised if he didn't pit this lap, just because, yeah, it's a logical move. Spuda and Hernandi, your top two. Bluebell behind Hernandi. He's on harder but considerably fresher tyres. He took much more of an overcut at the start, able to take the medium compound tyres. Hernandi, I believe, started on the softs. Bluebell has a lot of traffic to clear before he can get up to the back of Hernandi. He's done it all in about a corner, keeps nice and tidy in on the inside, and just winds through the final sector. Now, nose to tail with Hernandi. Can he go to the inside? He's going to send it late on the brakes. Hernandi just tries to get the room around the outside, can't find the grip, and is pressured by the back marker. We're going to have a spot of rain here in Korea. Just some light stuff. Ekolowski and Uris, the first cars in to the pit lane. Uris up to 9th from that poor start. Andries has recovered less well. 2 stops for him. I presume that second one pretty much right before the rain was announced, and that's done him no good service whatsoever. The 2 token spender, down in a low position. Sun is coming back, really interesting. Will anybody take the gamble of not pitting? Because the weather is going away, so if anybody out there potentially... No, everyone's going for the wet, okay, boring. Yep. Anyways, regardless, Spuda still out in the lead. Bluebell 4 seconds off him now. Through all of the early strategy in the race, it's shaken out to the fact that Spuda establishes his lead over Bluebell, who nearly forces Girini into the pit lane. That wouldn't have been too good. But yeah, does have a really strong lead out ahead. 4 tokens for him, 3 for Bluebell, and a lot more grip on the WTEC car, so it does make sense they'll get those benefits, as well as, remember, short lap time, under 26 seconds in SLV. We largely do tracks that are 33 seconds, even more sometimes. Boost replenishes once every lap, doesn't matter how long or short the lap is. So theoretically, if you got boost every 25 seconds instead of boost every 33 seconds, that makes boost more powerful at some tracks than it does others. That's the basic principle of it. Bluebell once again alternating the strategy as he laps Vlad 01, who's running in 12th place. These front runners have a lot more pace than those lower down the order. And Hernandi running in 3rd place. He's going to aim to get ahead of Bluebell. They don't have too bad a car, those KRT folks. They got a recent speed upgrade, which has done them a bit of good. A little bit of trivia, Vlad 02 using no tokens in Istanbul and still scoring 4th place. That is the highest position that any driver using no tokens has scored, well, this season in SLV definitely, if not all time. So really impressive performance there. Speed upgrade helping them, but obviously the gradual wave of upgrades moving onwards to the point where everyone's building their car a bit more. He might have some difficulty beating Bluebell. We'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. We'll have another flick back at the token usage. Again, remember, it is 4 for Spuda and Hernandi, 3 for Urist, as well as Grandi and Antti, and Bluebell 2 for Game on Goose and Andries, as well as Levioso, and 1 for Girini and Ekolowski, as well as Rito. Those are the drivers to keep an eye on a lot this week compared to some of the weeks we've had. But we'll mainly be looking at the front pack here. Right, Spuda still out in the lead. 3 seconds to Bluebell. That hasn't really grown or shrunk, which is pretty much good for Bluebell. That's what he's going to be wanting to see, because if that gap's not growing, it means that the mediums are not better than the hards, or at least he's not making as much use out of them than he could be, and that just gives Bluebell similar lap times with longer longevity. But as I've said, that Spuda's pulled out about a second, so take from that what you will. Hernandi and Goose 3rd and 4th, Antti and 5th, Rito and then Levioso. Urist, our 3 token spender, running in only 8th place. Remember, Levioso on 2, Rito on 1, Antti on 3. Goose on 3 as well. Hernandi on 4, Bluebell on 3, and Spuda on 3. We'll have a look at 9th place, which is Grandy, using 3 tokens as well. He would be bitterly disappointed with 3 tokens spent today and 9th place, but that is, some just get the bad luck of the draw. He's coming up to be lapped by Spuda. Wonder if he'll give him too many problems or not. He does sort of force him to take a suboptimal line through that final corner. That's dropped Spuda. It says on the Delta screen about a second, but he does immediately gain it. What is he doing? You've hit the wrong part of the car there, Michael. I mean, Jesus Christ, that is an assassination attempt. He forces Spuda wide. Again, we'll just stay on board with this because he's clearly not yielding. He's got similar age, if not identical age, mediums to Spuda, so no tyre age difference here, but he's spent a lap holding Spuda up. This is getting Bluebell 2 seconds odd. Grandy once again takes the inside. Spuda tries to boost through. Grandy doing his little wiggle on the straight. Spuda forcing him right to the edge, having absolutely none of it. That's not really going to help Grandy. I'm not sure why he's doing that. Vlad 01 up against the wall at the final corner has had a big issue. 16th place for him, and it looks like he just lost control of the car and was sandwiched into the wall at that final corner. Perhaps a puncture or some sort of issue with the car, but whatever it's been, it's sunk him well down. He wasn't expected to do well this race originally. However, that is a big concern. Perhaps it's the high tyre wear that's just popping the tyres here and there. It looks like he does. We'll have a pan back to him, but it looks like he does have the situation under control here, more or less. That's pretty good. Drivers need to be careful of that with a track with such intense tyre wear, not to let them go off in that very technical final sector, because that will put you in a world of pain. Spuda out in the lead. Bluebell has closed that gap all the way up now. That's incredible. On the hard compound tyre, and largely thanks to Grandy's defending. Once again, a reminder that blue flag cars, lap cars, do not have to get out of the way. They may choose to or choose not to, but they have no obligation to do so. That's really cost Spuda time. Bluebell looking to the outside here. We've got a close battle. We'll go into the close-up camera for Bluebell versus Spuda before they come into the pit lane. They just wind their way through the very chicaney top section. Spuda just starting to really struggle on those tyres. Bluebell still a bit of life left in those hards, but he does risk the undercut from Spuda. Goes into the pit lane now. Be interesting to see how much ground Spuda can make up on potentially, fresh softs is the pick of the bunch for him. He will come out of the pit lane a good few seconds behind, but with a lot of clean air. That's really interesting. He just has to hope that nobody pits into it, but he should get a very tidy outlap here. The worst thing would be for Bluebell to pit in this lap. That would really, obviously he wouldn't because he's on the hard. Right. Spuda. Spuda comes in to the pit lane after a very good outlap on the softs. That was a 29.18, factoring in the pit exit time. Really not too bad. And remember, he's just caught the traffic now. Passes Grandy with a smile and a wave and goes through on his softs. Bluebell has taken the same strategy. 1 lap fresher tyres, remember. He is now 2.5 seconds off him. Let's compare his outlap to Spuda's. Let's have a little... Yes, 2 seconds slower. Right, Goose in 3rd place. Hernandi chasing him down, which is interesting. Goose on still pretty good condition softs, but Hernandi on very fresh hards that will last him a long time to come. So he shouldn't really be having the pace to come up and fight Goose at this stage of the race, but it will really help him strategically in the long run, saving that pit stop. It's not a super long pit lane, but it obviously will cost you time regardless. Rito running up in 5th, but that's on very old hards, and he just gets swept to one side by the BAR cars, who do Anti a massive favour. Hetmenica maybe with an off there. It looks like he just skidded off into the runoff at the top part of the track. He's down in 12th place, also not spending any tokens today. Only his teammate Levioso, who's in 6th place and having the same issue with the SBM cars. That's awful. Not quite sure why that is. Oh dear, SBM. We had an issue earlier for Vlad 01. We've got another issue for SBM here. It's just not going their way. Levioso was battling really high up, but just not quite having it, and they're just taking that runoff. Maybe it's an instruction to stay off the curbs, cooled down the tyres. I'm not sure quite what it is, but they're really not having a good time. They're just having to take precautionary measures, and that's hurting their lap time quite a substantial amount. Right, we'll have a look-see here. Lev running in 3rd or 8th or something place. Might be a checkpoint issue there, just temporarily. Spuda still out in the lead. Bluebell still chasing him down. Remember, this is the battle we're focusing on. They've got basically the same life tyre. Spuda does have a lap older. You do need to factor that into consideration. Bluebell's hunting him down here. Lap 36 of 63. It's a pretty long race, this one. It should be sort of nearing the half-hour mark, if not getting there. But that is sort of one of the things you just have to look out for with the Korean Grand Prix. It's a test of all of the drivers, their cornering ability and their endurance skills too. Spuda out in the lead, Bluebell in 2nd, Levioso, I don't think he is actually in 3rd. I think he's had a checkpoint issue there. But we'll see come the end of the race. It looks like it's actually Hernandi who is in 3rd place, Antti in 4th, Urist in 5th place. Then we've got Goose in 6th, Levioso, where he actually is in 7th place, and Rito chasing him down in 8th. Just one token. Lev just sort of diverts his car out onto the... I'm not sure why that's happening to the SPMs, that's really odd. But regardless, he just sort of makes the mistake there, diverts his car out on to the grass, and it is behind Rito. Rito running in 7th, Lev going side by side with him. Can he manufacture anything here? It doesn't look like it. Grandi in 9th place, Andries in 10th, and we've got Kubo and G4 potentially looking on for some points, despite not using any tokens today. Would be pretty impressive from the PMP driver. Their car has come a long way. If you look at the performance index, it certainly has made its improvements in recent times, and you've got to credit them for that. Andries, oh, big pile up there, lots of cars getting in each other's way. Kubo, a good benefactor off that. G4 really losing out. You've got a train of cars snaking through the middle sector now. G4 looking promising for points, is now a substantial number of cars behind Kubo. Jesus. Battle for 4th place here, or not. We'll see when it comes to the results screen where that actually comes out. But Urist is in 5th place. He's still in this pack of cars. Look at this. What a mess. They all go around the outside of him as he makes a mistake there. He's actually battling Goose, who's right behind him on the soft compound tyre. How fresh is soft? That's the question. Yeah, sort of there or thereabouts. Urist Hard's also not looking too bad. Urist and Goose side by side into turn 1 with a plethora of back markers in the way. He gets all out of shape on the exit there. Goose to the outside does get the move done. Look at this. This is ridiculous. There's like 9 cars here. How has everyone decided this is just the place to chill? Right, Levy pitting. He comes out in 9th place. He'll be substantially behind Grandi, but nicely ahead of Kubo. Looks like there was a maybe collision at the pit exit there, and potentially between the W-Techs actually. I think I saw Andres or maybe Spuda just going very, very wide into it. Nobody actually pitted from the looks of it, but still. Right, we'll go back to the fight for the lead. We haven't checked in on them for a while. Spuda getting through. Bluebell now approaching this pack of cars. He's got 4 lapped cars in between himself and Big Man Spuds, and a very difficult place of the track to pass them. He does weave through them expertly. He just needs a good exit through here. Urist will get in his way, not for much longer. Now just 2 cars rather between Spuds and Bloobs. Hernandi in for his stop. Urist running in 4th place. Rain is on the way. That will really shake up some things. Hernandi perfectly times it, but he will have to have a bit of an outlap on the wets. We'll see how badly it affects the AI, because this is a really interesting thing. He is sliding, but I think they just kill their speed a considerable amount rather than taking the drift. They'd rather stick to the racing line, no matter how slow it means they actually have to go. But they definitely don't get affected by this sort of thing. It's still dry conditions, not anymore. But then the player does. Spuda and Bluebell pitted, so finally we do get a bit of mixed strategy. Spuda and Bluebell both pitted for Inters, Hernandi for wets, Levioso for Inters as well. Urist and Antion Inters, while Goose is on the wets. Then we've got Rito and Grandi and Kubo all on the wets. Oh, Kubo with a big collision at the pit entry, and that's lost him the position to G4. With how tight the fight is between them, Andrews, G4 and Kubo, and that could cost some serious potential at getting in the points today, which obviously all of those drivers would love. Andrews in particular, with him spending 2 tokens today, should be getting in the points. Again, a reminder, Euro spending 3, Kubo none, Goose 2, Girouni 1, Grandy 3, Pit Crew none, Spuda 4, Andrews 2, Anti 3, Vlad 0, Jake 0, EK 1, Het none, Lev 2, Vlado 2 none, Hernandi 4, Sobel none, G4 none, Bluebell 3, Rito 1. Really interesting, because we've just had an announcement for Heavy Rain. Now, from what I can tell with AI strategy, they will not pit off the inters onto the wets for Heavy Rain. They won't do it. And they didn't pit that long ago onto the inters a handful of laps. So, it's a long, long shout. Practically a lap shout if you look at it. That's not quite what I was intending to do. But with the 16 laps we still have remaining here in Korea, which has been a grueling endurance race for the drivers so far, lots of mistakes that we've seen drivers running wide, hitting the wall, Kubo forced into the wall, Lev and Het having an issue with the runoff through the end of the second sector, lots of different things going on here in Korea. Will we finally see a charge through the pack from Hernandi, who is using 4 tokens, remember, but just has gotten the brunt of bad battling and bad strategy here today and finds himself far detached from the race leaders? Will we see him and Goose potentially in full wet conditions charge their way through? Goose is a lap down from Bluebell. If he wants to take the position off him, he needs to get moving. This will show clearly how badly the front two will be struggling if Goose can overtake him. Now Hetmenica looked to be stuck in the wall there. 18th place for him now. Goose shoves off Bluebell. EK does a bit of karma, shoves off Goose. Bluebell back through on him for the time being. Why is this issue just affecting SPM? That's incredibly odd. Anyways, Goose still stuck behind Bluebell, but is giving him a lot of issues. That's not going to help Bluebell in his potential fight for the race lead, but Hernandi has closed the gap by 5 seconds in 2 laps. That's unbelievable. He is really, really in with a shout if the rain sticks around. Is it going to go back to cloudy conditions, though? This is the key. Will it cross over into the cloud? It will. The track is drying. He needs to make the most of these full wet conditions while he can, and he's just stuck in a really bad battling pack here for the moment. God, that's really, really bad for them. Bluebell finally unlapped is Goose. It's really interesting, actually, that every single driver down to 4th place, up to 4th place, has been lapped. I mean, only the front 3 on the leading lap. Hernandi just enters it now. Spuda even not that far from finishing it, and Goose still on lap 50 behind Spoods. But the conditions are drying up, so a prolonged wet period like we saw in Hungary Season 1 could really screw over somebody like Bluebell, who of course was running the Inters back then as well. Didn't pit for wets and lost a 15-second gap from 2nd to 3rd and fell outside of the top 2. It doesn't look like we'll have that today, but Hernandi has made headway, so full credit to him for that. Goose has not been able to do the same thing. Just doesn't look like that car has the juice in it. And Bluebell looking back around the outside to relap Goose. We've had a little tiff between these two. We've only got about 13-12 laps left here. But yeah, Bluebell does get back through. Goose is still going to fight this and leaves him absolutely no room. Bluebell gets stuck right behind him. Jeru gets through, which is quite funny. Jeru not really fighting for anything. He's down in 14th place. He's probably been quintuple lapped by this point. In fact, we'll check. Spuda, our race leader, on lap 53 starts lap 54. EK on lap 49. This is just the kind of thing that you really see here at Korea. Unfortunately, just massive deltas with massive pace differences. Bluebell and Spuda both stayed out, which is an interesting choice. Goose pitted in onto the medium compound tyre. The track is now fully dry. Spuda and Bluebell just winding their way through that final sector. Yeah, Spuda in to the pits now, coming behind the lapped car of Jake Brad, Bluebell as well. Hernandi was also out on the softs at that point. Hetmenica really having issues. He's trying to just greet the fans there, but they'd rather see him racing, to be totally honest. I mean, I don't know what he's what he's doing there. He is off the racing line. We're not going to have any form. I mean, not really off the racing line. Jesus, look how close they're getting. We're not going to have any form of caution here. And Levioso once again going wide. The SBMs are all over the place today. I mean, that is the real subplot of the day. But Spuda still out in the lead. And Bluebell still chasing him down has been the main plot from lap 1 all the way down to the final stint of this race. Surely these drivers will be looking to take these softs for one stint to the end. Goose, interestingly, the only driver in the top 8 to go for the mediums. He doesn't think that the softs will give him the longevity he needs. Girouni has been into the pit lane 10 times this race. That's not great strategy, if I had to guess. Vlado, too, a few seconds ahead of him, has only been in 6. But still, right, we have it. Bluebell and Spuda. Bet you're getting a bit bored of that one now, so we'll pan away for a little bit. Rito potentially chasing down Goose. He is on the softs. He does have a very quick car, but only 1 token. Goose is spending 3 today, so we're unsure about that one. Hetmenica looks to want to rejoin the racing action. Good for him. Eurist in 6th place. He's a well bit off Rito for the time being. Anti behind, and then Grandi as well. So pretty decent gaps in between the top few. Kubo, yeah, a good bit down on Grandi, sort of a lap or so. And Andrew's the final points runner. So our closest fight is Goose versus Rito. Rito has the car of Levioso, who's running in 9th place, spending 2 tokens a day. He is in the way. He has had that recurring issue just through the middle sector, middle part of the lap, and it just looks like he needs to take a slightly different line. Perhaps that's a bit aggressive. Perhaps it's high tyre wear or something to do with that that's just making the cars go a bit haywire. Perhaps it's an engine fault that needs them to just back out and cool off. You can imagine when they're following nose to tail through this section, you're getting all of that hot, dirty air. It's not going to be helping you that much. Right, Rito's progression has stalled for the time being. Goose looks to be getting out ahead. Girouni giving him a helping hand in that. Again, not really fighting for so much this race. But, you know, he can do his best to piss off Rito. That's perfectly fine. Just 4 laps to go here in South Korea, and what has been a very exciting, a very endurance needing, and a very... yeah, I'd say that's probably the right term for it. A lot of drivers just having issues, having difficulties, a lot of time lost here and there that you just sort of can't really, account for. A lot of big gaps going through the field. It does look like Spuda, with a 4-second gap back behind him, will have this under wraps. Bluebell coming up to lap 4th place. Goose Fernandes potential charge that looked on initially just looks like he'll sort of run out of time to do it, in total honesty. That 1 lap undercut also isn't helping his tyres at this phase. But yeah, so what I was saying earlier, a lot of drivers making mistakes, sort of like Singapore if you look at that in real life. Just you're guaranteed to have a lot of driver error, a lot of people making mistakes, and that will change the order. You see the SPMs just struggling that bit today. Levioso sort of jumping around. We're not quite sure what's happening with his checkpoints, but there is something going astray there, and his teammate Hetmenica completely out of the competitive running. Where have we heard that before? Sorry, Het, had to do it. But still, on what has not been a good day for SBM, and what was predicted to be a fantastic day for WTech. They came, they saw, and Spuda has once again conquered for the 2nd race consecutively. He will win the Korean Grand Prix, and Bluebell just did not have the answer to his pace today. In 3rd place, all the way back, is Hanandi, who will take his sweet old time to the finish line. He doesn't really need to rush it, in total honesty. He'll come round the corner and collect a wonderful podium for the KRT team, yet to win this, no other, something like that. Another podium for the KRT team. Goose will be pretty happy with 4th place. Not the best you could get through spending 3 tokens, but it'll do for him. Eurist likewise 5th. Still slightly not quite as good there, but Rito just looking to hunt him down if he can. Doesn't look like he'll be able to. Those softs really badly going off for him. Eurist will take 5th place and Rito in 6th. Anti, 7th place for him. Grandi off at the final corner with Spuda on his in-lap. Will take 8th place. Kubo, ninth place, a lap down or so. And Andries a little bit behind Kubo. Kubo just came in for a final stop, which he didn't really need to do. But Andries will still not be able to beat him, but will make it double points for the WTech team. Now this is really interesting. Who got the fastest lap? Lev. Right. That's probably not legal. Interesting. Vlado2 in 11th place. Not really any threat of the points there. G4, 12th place. Again, solid for him and PMP. Not spending any tokens, but still just not really making it work. Levioso will take 13th place. Will be very disappointed in a race where he spent 2 tokens, but was just plagued with issues and wasn't able to resolve them come the checkered flag. Jaruni, 14th place for him, and Vlad01 in 15th. Sobel in 16th, Jake in 17th, Ikolowski spending a token, finishing 18th is perhaps one of the worst token spending performances we've ever seen. Pit Crew finishing in 19th place, Hetmanica down in last. Certainly an interesting race here in Korea, whatever you thought of it. You had to admit that it was a very well-deserved win for Spuda and the WTech team, who are looking to just push their way up through the pack with a late charge in this season. Anandi will be disappointed to have not been in the fight for the lead of the race, despite the high token spend. It did look like, however, if it's any consolation to him, that he bagged the fastest lap of anyone inside the top 10. If we do decide to disqualify Lev's effort, which was 6 seconds faster than everyone else, then that's the case. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time around. It's the Indian Grand Prix. We've got 3 races left in the Sunday League virtual season. Hope to see you all there for that one. Until then, bye-bye.